Ethan was wrapping up a late-night report when his phone vibrated with a message from Jenna. He expected a harmless update, maybe a meme, nothing important. But when he opened the video, the club lights flashed across the screen, and right in the center of the frame was Lauren pressed against a man he didn't recognize, kissing him like they hadn't a care in the world. For a moment, Ethan just stared, his mind completely silent, as if his thoughts had been yanked out of his body. Then he exhaled once slowly and typed 3 simple words back to Jenna. Good to know. He stood up, walked to the closet, and pulled out an empty suitcase. No yelling, no questions, no warnings. He quietly folded Lauren's clothes, packed her shoes, gathered her toiletries, and zipped the suitcase shut. By the time the elevator doors opened to the lobby, the relationship was already over. Ethan replayed the video one more time, not because he needed confirmation, but because he wanted to memorize the exact moment everything changed. Lauren's laugh. The way she wrapped her arms around the guy, Marco, though Ethan didn't know his name yet. The deliberate, unhurried kiss that told him this wasn't a drunken mistake. It was a pattern. A choice. He saved the video, locked his phone, and let the apartment's silence settle around him. Then he walked to the front door, opened the smart lock app, and began resetting the entry code digit by digit. The soft beep of the keypad felt like the closing of a chapter. He moved through the apartment with a kind of calm he didn't know he was capable of. Her makeup drawer always overflowing. Her workout clothes tossed into the guest bathroom. The robe she insisted on hanging behind his bedroom door. One by one, everything went into the suitcase. He didn't rush, didn't hesitate, didn't allow anger to take over, because anger would have slowed him down. When the suitcase was full, he added the last item, her favorite perfume, and zipped it shut. The sound was final, like a judge's gavel. Ethan called the concierge and asked them to hold Lauren's belongings for pickup. They were used to luxury deliveries, grocery drop-offs, packages, never a break-up suitcase at 1:30 a.m. Still, the concierge didn't ask questions. He rolled the suitcase into the service elevator, wrote it down, and left it with a simple instruction. She can collect it any time. As he stepped back into the elevator, his phone lit up again. First one call, then another. Then a string of messages from Lauren's friends, pictures from their girls' night, voice notes laughing about drinks, screenshots of Lauren bragging. None of them knew Ethan had seen the truth. He muted the chat and went upstairs without replying. By 2 a.m., the hallway camera caught Lauren stumbling toward the apartment door, heels in hand, makeup smudged. She tapped in the old access code. Error. She tried again. Error. The moment realization hit her was almost audible. She banged on the door, whisper-yelling Ethan's name. When he didn't answer, her whisper became a scream. Panic crept into her voice, shaking, desperate, switching between open up. And this isn't funny. Within minutes, she was calling her mother. Then her sister. Then Ethan again and again, her calls stacking in his notifications like a frantic heartbeat. When her family arrived, they tried the door themselves, as if the lock would magically obey them. Lauren's mother demanded that Ethan act like an adult. Her sister threatened to call someone. Ethan didn't move from the couch. Eventually, they did call someone, police. 2 officers showed up, calm and professional, asking for names and identification. They pulled up the lease on the building system, checked the tenant documents, and turned to Lauren with a firm, emotionless conclusion. You're not listed as a resident. He has the legal right to deny access. Lauren stared at them, her face crumbling in disbelief. Her mother argued, but the officers kept their tone steady. She needed to leave. Tonight. And just like that, the door she had once walked through freely closed on her for the last time. The next morning, Ethan woke up to a phone buzzing nonstop on his nightstand. He stared at the notifications without opening a single one. 30 missed calls from Lauren, 8 voicemails from her mother, a handful of frantic texts from her friends demanding he explain himself. He simply turned the phone face down and went to make coffee. It didn't take long before Lauren switched from begging to demanding. Her first message of the day was a long paragraph accusing him of overreacting. The second claimed the video was taken out of context. The third was a request, no, an invoice, demanding he return $3,500 she said she contributed to their household. Ethan almost laughed. He had paid every bill, every grocery run, every date. Her contribution was imaginary, but her confidence in fabricating it was very real. When he ignored her messages, she started sending family members to try their luck. Her mother wrote that Ethan was financially exploiting her daughter. Her aunt insisted he transfer the money for closure. Her cousin sent a blurry selfie of himself looking tough, telling Ethan to do the right thing. Ethan blocked them one by one without replying. That afternoon, his office receptionist called him. A woman had shown up claiming to be his fiancée, insisting she needed to see him urgently. Ethan didn't need to ask who it was. He told security to escort Lauren out and to mark her as a restricted visitor. The receptionist, slightly amused, later emailed him. She wasn't wearing an engagement ring, by the way. Lauren's desperation escalated. She returned to his building with a man she introduced as her lawyer. The lawyer wore sweatpants, carried no briefcase, and seemed startled when asked for identification. The building management refused them entry, explaining, again, that Lauren had no tenancy rights and could not re-enter the property without Ethan's permission. The pair left after threatening to see everyone in court, a promise that no one took seriously. That night, Ethan's bank sent a fraud alert. Someone had attempted to purchase a last-minute plane ticket and several luxury items using his card information. He froze the card immediately. When he checked the billing address on the attempted charges, it was Lauren's mother's house. There was no room left for doubt. Lauren had crossed from manipulation into outright crime. Then came the strangest message of all. A text from an unknown number claiming to be Marco, the man from the club. He wrote that Ethan should return the $2,000 jewelry set Lauren left behind. Ethan didn't even bother responding. There was no jewelry. There had never been jewelry. It was just another lie, stacked on top of a collapsing tower of lies. The turning point arrived when Jenna, clearly rattled, finally broke her silence. She admitted the video wasn't an accident. She had sent it intentionally, after watching Lauren cheat for months. Lauren had been telling everyone that Ethan was controlling, emotionally abusive, and wouldn't let her have fun. The cheating wasn't new. It had been happening for at least 3 months. Ethan listened quietly, thanked Jenna for her honesty, and hung up. For the first time in days, he felt something close to clarity. Not relief and not anger, just confirmation. Lauren wasn't spiraling because she lost him. She was spiraling because she lost control of the story she had built around him. And Ethan had no intention of letting her write another chapter. By day 8, Lauren had moved from manipulation to full-blown retaliation. Ethan arrived at work to find a cluster of unread emails flagged as urgent. The first was from HR. The second from the CEO's assistant. The third was a forwarded message from Lauren herself. In it, she accused Ethan of financial control, emotional abuse, and locking her out as punishment. She copied the CEO, the board of directors, HR, and half the leadership team. She even attached dramatic paragraphs about being trapped in a toxic household and fearing for her safety. Ethan read it slowly, then opened the folder he'd saved days earlier. He calmly replied to HR with attachments. The video of the kiss, the security footage, the messages demanding money, the fraud alert documents, the concierge logs, and timestamps that contradicted every lie. Because HR already had concerns about third-party harassment, Their response came within minutes. They sent Lauren a cease and desist letter warning her to stop contacting the company or face legal consequences. They also informed Ethan that he was cleared of all allegations. He closed the email and went back to work as if nothing happened. But Lauren wasn't done. Later that day, Ethan received a handwritten letter slipped under his apartment door. Not from Lauren, but from her mother. The letter insisted Ethan was ruining her daughter's future, begged him to show compassion, and asked him to reconsider taking Lauren back. It ended with a line that made Ethan shake his head. She acted out because she loves intensely. He folded the letter and tossed it in the trash without a second thought. That same evening, Lauren reappeared online with a completely different version of reality. She posted a TikTok video, crying on camera, describing herself as a victim of emotional manipulation and financial deprivation. She didn't mention Marco, the club, or any part of the truth. Her tears were dramatic enough to gain sympathy, until someone recognized the man she had kissed in the club. Within hours, comments called her out. Screenshots of the video circulated. People who knew the real story started stitching her video, exposing inconsistencies. By midnight, she locked her account. Her friends, who once defended her, began messaging Ethan with apologies. Jenna even sent Ethan a screenshot of a private group chat where Lauren had been calling him controlling, just to justify her cheating. Some of Lauren's closest friends realized they had been used as props in her lies, and they backed away. Meanwhile, Marco sent Ethan another message, this time complaining that Lauren was too much and begging Ethan to just take her back so she stops blowing up my phone. Ethan didn't reply. He didn't need to. The chaos was folding in on itself. By day 14, Lauren's tone had changed completely. She left voicemail after voicemail, her voice cracking as she begged Ethan to talk. She said she was confused. She said she was lonely. She said she missed the life they had. Ethan listened to none of them. He simply deleted them and muted her number entirely. The more she realized she couldn't control him, the more desperate she became. And the more desperate she became, the more her world, or rather her lies, began to collapse around her. In the third week, the chaos Lauren created finally began turning inward. Her situationship with Marco, the man from the club, was the first thing to fall apart. At first, Lauren acted like she had traded up, posting pictures of dinners, rides in his BMW, and nights out. But that illusion shattered quickly. Marco expected her to pay for her own things, something she wasn't used to. When she asked for access to his credit card for essentials, he laughed, thinking she was joking. When she insisted, he stopped laughing. The fights escalated instantly. She accused him of being cheap. He accused her of being financially reckless. Then Marco's actual girlfriend, yes, he had a girlfriend the whole time, showed up furious, demanding Lauren stay away from him. The argument that followed went viral in their neighborhood. By the end of the night, Marco blocked Lauren on everything. By week 6, the lies Lauren had scattered everywhere started coming back to her like boomerangs. Her friend group, once loud and defensive on her behalf, had gone silent. Screenshots leaked. Private conversations surfaced. People began comparing notes. And suddenly, everything Lauren had tried to hide started connecting into one ugly pattern. It began with a small argument between two of her closest friends. One accused the other of enabling Lauren's behavior. The other swore she had no idea Lauren had cheated. Someone pulled up the club video. Someone else shared messages where Lauren bragged about getting attention from real men. By the end of the night, their group chat was in flames. More stories surfaced. Lauren had borrowed money from almost everyone, $20 here, $50 there, a few hundred from a friend she promised to repay after her promotion, a promotion she never actually earned. One friend said Lauren lied about being broke so she wouldn't have to pay for dinners. Another admitted Lauren had spread rumors that Ethan was controlling to justify why she didn't invite people over. All of it started to unravel in front of them. Jenna messaged Ethan again, not to gossip, but to apologize. She felt guilty for ever defending Lauren. She said she hadn't realized just how deep the manipulation went. Ethan thanked her briefly and moved on. He wasn't interested in reliving the past, unlike Lauren, who was still clinging to it. Then came an unexpected call. Emily, Lauren's younger sister. Her voice was soft, hesitant but sincere. She apologized for her family's behavior, even her own, admitting she had believed Lauren's stories without question. Then she told Ethan things he never asked for. Lauren had been borrowing money from family members for months. She had lied about having savings. She told her parents Ethan was secretly wealthy and planning a surprise wedding, which was why she needed loans to prepare. She even told Emily that she and Ethan were practically married already. Emily confessed she found out the truth only after Lauren asked their mother for another $1,000. Claiming Ethan froze her access to their shared account. There was no shared account. There had never been one. Everything Lauren said was smoke and mirrors. As these truths exposed themselves, her friend group completely fractured. Some blocked her. Some confronted her publicly. Some simply walked away quietly, tired of the manipulation. Lauren tried to regain sympathy by posting long rants about toxic friends and betrayal, but people weren't buying it anymore. Too many contradictions. Too many witnesses. Too much damage. Meanwhile, Ethan moved forward with his life. He didn't engage. He didn't retaliate. He simply lived. And that alone seemed to bother Lauren more than anything else. One night, Jenna sent Ethan one last message showing the final collapse of Lauren's social circle. Lauren had tried to blame everyone else: Ethan, Marco, her friends, her family. But the chat screenshots made one thing clear. Everyone finally realized Lauren wasn't a victim of circumstances. She was the architect of her own disaster. By the end of week 8, Lauren stood alone. No friends to defend her. No boyfriend to distract her. No lies left to hide behind. Just the slow, heavy weight of consequences she never imagined she'd have to face. Ethan didn't intend to start a new chapter so soon, but life has a strange way of moving forward even when you're not trying. A few weeks after the chaos settled, he met someone new at a friend's dinner gathering. Her name was Clara, calm, grounded, nothing like the storm he had just escaped. They exchanged numbers, talked slowly, naturally, without pressure. By the third date, Clara sensed there was something heavy behind his quiet confidence and asked what had happened. Ethan didn't dramatize it. He simply told her the truth, beginning with the video Jenna sent, the lockout, the false accusations, the fraud attempt, the court hearing. Clara listened without interrupting. When he finished, she didn't pity him. She just said, "I'm glad you didn't let it turn you hard." It was the first time in months he felt completely understood. Ethan stood on his balcony one quiet evening, the city humming softly beneath him. Clara was inside making tea, humming to herself, a sound that felt like sunlight after a long winter. He thought about everything that had happened: the betrayal, the lies, the chaos, the courtroom, the unexpected peace that came afterward. None of it felt sharp anymore. It was distant, like an old bruise that had faded to nothing. He realized he wasn't angry at Lauren. He wasn't even resentful. He was simply done carrying something that no longer belonged in his life. People show who they are when pressure hits, and he had finally learned to accept the truth the first time it appeared. When Clara stepped out to join him, she slipped her hand into his without asking. He didn't flinch. He didn't hesitate. For the first time in a long while, he let someone stand beside him without fear of what would come next. A new chapter wasn't something he had chased, but it had arrived anyway. And as he looked out over the glowing skyline, he understood one simple thing. Sometimes the happiest endings are just quiet beginnings.